Hi, good evening, all my dear students. Today we are again back on our channel to talk about something which is very interesting as well as most frequently asked question to me by you all postgraduates that, sir, can we go to UK? Is it possible to do residency in UK? Can we earn a lot of money in UK? Can we shift to Australia? We have heard it's a beautiful country. So today we are addressing this common issue of whether it is possible and how to go about career opportunity for an anesthetist in UK as well as in Australia. So I have with me two wonderful people with me. One Dr. Shweta and Dr. Atul. I welcome both of you.
Hello.
Hi, thank you.
For inviting
And we
me.
have a celebrity anesthetist, Dr. Gaurav Patil. And Dr. Shweta is somebody who was initially in UK and then she now shifted to Australia, while Dr. Gaurav Patil is still pursuing his career in UK. He's soon going to be knighted as well. And on a lighter note, and we have somebody who has gone to UK. He has done his FRCA. He has worked there, gained a lot of experience and come back and working in India. So there's always this question that is it really necessary to go there and not come back? So we have Dr. Atul who will tell us about what happens when you go there, you gain experience and come back. How does it help? Dr. Shweta is an anesthetist. She has done her DNB in India in NH hospital, that is Narayan Hrudayalaya, Bangalore. Dr. Atul and Dr. Gaurav are my batchmates and friends from Hinduja Hospital. And all three of them are very, very good at what they do. And they are very dedicated. So I'm going to now ask Dr. Shweta to tell us a little bit about your journey from India to UK and UK to Australia, and how did you go about it and what are the things that you encountered?
Anshul, thank you so much for that. Such a lovely introduction. I never expected somebody to say such nice things about me. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased to be here. I think I'll first target the first question that was asked, right? Like, can we go to Australia? Of course we can. And how the journey is I wouldn't sugarcoat it, but it's not easy. But if you've got dedication, you can get there. So I'll tell you about my journey, right? So honestly, I was very, very lucky and privileged with the way I went about things. I was in Tata Memorial Hospital doing my SR shift. And one of my bosses, who was very kind, he said that, Shweta, tu UK jayegi kya? That's all. And I was like, yeah, I'll think about it. And then it just worked out. And I went to UK and I went to UK in 2016. So 2016, those days, I'm sure the situation at the moment is slightly different, but 2016 was, I think, way easier. I just had to contact the hospital that my boss wanted me to go to, and they had a job waiting for me. And it was through the MTI program. I was like me and another friend, so both of us went approximately the same time. So we were just helping and guiding each other out. Now, I hear the situation is way different. Getting into MTI itself is so difficult. But I honestly was very lucky with that. So I just went, did my MTI. So I'm sure the other guys are going to speak to you all about what this MTI program is and everything. But in short, when I had gone, it was basically to get more experience, right? To get more experience and understand the protocols out there. And, it gives a good launching pad to a more fulfilling career, I think. So when I went there, I was there for about 2 years, 2016 to 2018. I got to learn a lot of things, right? First thing is protocol, how people follow protocols and things like that. I did a lot of ICU work, which I hadn't done as much in India. Like even as a DNB resident, even in NH, we used to do mostly theaters. ICU was not my forte, honestly. And even when I went to Tata, it was, I mean, we did ICU, but all the decisions were being made by the ICU fellows and stuff. When I went to the UK, I ended up, it was really hard to learn, but I learned and I quite enjoyed it because it was really, really good for me to learn. And I always believe to be a good anesthetist, you need to have a good intensive brain, intensive care brain. So I did that. In that process, in the 2 years that I was there, I gave my part 1 exams, right? I gave the MRCA, and because I worked there for the part 1 of FRCA, and because I was there for 2 years, I just got the MRCA degree. Now, it so happened that my personal life, my then boyfriend, then fiance, and now husband was moving to Royal Adelaide in Australia. Now, my husband is also anaesthetist from India. He's got his own journey because he went straight from India to Australia as ICU. I still am in anesthetics. So anyways, so I moved from UK to Australia. Lack of knowledge, I think, was the reason why I stayed in ICU for so long, because I didn't know in Australia you have 2 separate colleges. One is the ICU college and the anesthetics college. Now in India and in the UK, ICU experience works a lot to further your anesthetics career. In Australia, it's not the same, right? So when I moved from UK to Australia, I thought I'll get into ICU, and then after a year or so, I should be able to get into anesthetics. It did not work out like that, right? So even though I was in like a premier, Royal Adelaide is like one of the busiest ICUs in the world. What they told me is that if I have to do anesthetics, I'll have to do a lot of other things, which I will get to, and I'm sure Anshul will want to get it in a more succinct way as well. Anyways, so then in 2018, I moved to Australia. I was in ICU for about 3 years, I think, in total, and now I'm back to anesthetics since 2022, I think. Yeah. So that's where I'm at the moment. I'll get to the more finer details once, we can go through things. Is that okay?
So, ma'am, how did you, apart from the fact that your family was shifting to Australia, is there any other thing you found out about it? And how did you basically apply a little bit about the process of what you do, and how do you search for the opportunities in Australia if ever anybody wants to do?
Of course. So the decision to move to Australia was actually, it's a very good question, because my husband had gotten a job in Barnet, not Barnet, Brompton and Harefield, that's in London, as the ECMO fellow. And he got a job at Royal Adelaide as well. I had advised him to go to Australia. And I told him that I'll figure my way out in Australia, because both of us were not aware of how anesthesia in Australia worked. The reason why we went to Australia was because the ICU college is very, very well organized. It's better than what's in UK. And my husband was absolutely sure that he wanted to ICU, right? So that was one thing. The next thing was I had a lot of colleagues from the UK. Let me just say the local UK, the British colleagues, who always wanted to go to Australia. I always asked them, I'm like, oh, UK is also good. And they used to be like, no, Australia is better for family life. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I wouldn't say that was 100% the reason why I wanted to go, but it did play a bit of a role. Like my colleagues from the UK moving to Australia, the local British ones. And in fact, I was kind of surprised that for them, right, their family is in London and they're moving to Australia. So that's like 24 hours flight, right, for them. And they were willing to make that move. I'm like, why not me? I mean, what's there? And another reason was I wanted to see another country as well. So I love traveling. So I was like, you know what? This is the way I'm going to see another country. So be it, big deal. And if I don't like it, I can always come back. So that was one thing. And coming to jobs, right? Again, what happened for me, and actually it is something that I want you guys to be aware of. In Australia, they're so family orientated that if you have a couple applying for a job, there's a higher chance of you getting it, right? So everywhere, like me and my husband, we've applied together. So when Ajay went to Royal Adelaide, he didn't tell anything about me, right? I applied to Royal Adelaide, and it came up on my CV that I worked at Tata Memorial Hospital, where my husband did his MD at. So the bosses came to him and they said, Ajay, do you know this girl called Shweta Patro? She was there around the same time that you were there. Then he's like, she's my fiance. And they were like, you know what, just ask her to apply and we'll interview and we'll take her. That's it.
Okay, so this is something very important, because if people want to move to Australia, I think they should first think of getting a girlfriend or something like that.
No, no, like what happens, right? In India, they don't like taking couple this thing. I mean, for us, it was very surprising. We were like, oh my God, if they come to know that we're married to each other, then we might not be the people they want to take. But every other place as well, like after that, I moved to another state. I moved to Tasmania. We actually applied as a couple everywhere. In fact, that state actually asked, are you applying as a couple application? So then we move up on the employability. Then when we came to this place, to Western Australia as well, I got into the anesthetic thing, and Ajay just wrote to the ICU director. My wife is in the anesthetics in the same hospital. If you have any openings, can you please let me know? I'd like to join. So things like this, we would have never known. Nobody ever tells us about this. So that's how I got in.
That is a very, very valid, very, very, very important point.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you do have obviously there are other ways of applying. Like you go through these job portals of each state, right? So you've got Western Australia, South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, Northern Territory, and Tasmania. So those jobs come out twice a year, and then those are really formal applications. Those are proper applications. Another thing that I've realized in both UK and Australia, word of mouth is a big thing, right? You need to have those bosses who vouch for you. Writing referees is different. You need to have the bosses who actually would vouch for you. And I think that's what worked for me to get a job in UK as well as in Australia. And even within Australia, I'm very lucky that I've had bosses who actually vouch for me. They're like, you know what? We want her to get this job. So you need to have that relationship with your bosses, essentially.
But ma'am, tell me something that in the first part of it, in the first step, does Australia recognize Indian qualification, MD or DNB?
No. So
no.
So currently, ANSCA is the anesthetics college, right? Rules have been changing in the last 5 years. So from when I have come in to now, rules have changed a lot, right? So about say 5-6 years back, if you had done your MD or DNB from a good reputed college or hospital, and you'd worked as an SR in a good place like PGI or Tata or CMC or things like that, they would count that and they would give you specialist partial comparability as specialist. You would have to do the exam, the final exam definitely, and then you would work as a specialist. This was about 6 years back. Now things have drastically changed. Now there are just a few ways to enter. One way, you can still do the specialist pathway, but for the specialist pathway, what you need to do is to do your MD or DNB, then you have to do a proper super specialization. You can't do something like, you can't do like a diploma cert, PDCC or something like that. You have to do a proper either FMGE, I think DNB 3 years. You have to do something like that.
Yeah, DNB or DM.
Yes, do that with thesis, with exams, and
okay.
And then with that, you can apply for specialist pathway. Okay. And with that specialist pathway, so that's a lot of money and a lot of time involved. And after that, you'll still get partial comparability. You'll not get full comparability like how the UK people get. And you'll still have to like work for a year or two, give the final exams. It's called the SIMG exam and S specialist IMG exam. And then you pass out and then you work as an SIMG, as a specialist IMG. So that's how the specialist pathway is. If you go like, no, so I'm not on that pathway at all because I did not do any DN or FNB or anything. I just went to UK and from UK I came here, right? Initially, about 4 years back, they actually counted MTI as well because technically it's a training thing, right? So 2 years of extra training. Now they don't count that as well. So they've changed that in 2022 December. Now that's also not there. So now what I had to do is I had to go down the standard pathway. Standard pathway is really just about getting your AMCs done. So I gave my AMC 1. Then I couldn't be bothered about AMC 2 because it's really hard. Like I'm old now. I can't read MBBS stuff.
It's like it's like what these USMLE people have to do, go through the entire process of MBBS. So all the
Exactly.
basic sciences and then clinical sciences.
Exactly. So I did that, but what I did was I did AMC1, and there's another way to do AMC2 is what it's called work-based assessments. So I did WBA. I went down that route, and I wanted to continue to work. So a lot of people, they stay back, go for these coaching centers and they, study for like 6 months and really put in their hard work, and then they give the exam and they get through as well. But I wanted to continue to work. I really liked ICU. So I did AMC part 1, which took me like 15 days of study. I cleared that. But AMC part 2 ke liye, I just went down the WBA pathway in like 6 months. I cleared that and I got general registration. Now, general registration is very important for two things, right? Anshul, like, first thing, general registration is the easiest way to get PR.
Yeah, permanent residency.
Yeah. Now, you might think that PR, haan, mil jayega, whatever. But PR milna is very hard in Australia for anesthetists. Because the main reason is every second MBBS student wants to do anesthesia. So they have removed anesthesia from the the list.
Criteria. Purely because of the number that India generates as anesthetists, right?
And also their own candidates want. No?
Okay, their own candidates also.
Their own candidates want. Okay. So then why will they want to get anesthetists from elsewhere? So what usually used to happen was people used to come in as specialist IMGs, give their exam, and they use with that anesthetic thing, they would apply for PR. Pehle mil jata tha. Now they don't. Now they're like, you know what, we've got enough, we don't need. Okay. So
it has become little difficult. If you don't have an AMC, then it becomes difficult to become a permanent resident.
Yes, it's very hard.
Better to go the longer path, but make sure that you do this AMC 1 and 2. Okay.
Exactly. So what I usually tell people, right, if people contact me.
And ma'am, is it, I'm just interrupting, is it you have to be present in Australia to appear for AMC 1 and 2? Or you can do it from India?
AMC 1 from India also.
AMC 1 from India, and for 2 you have to go there.
Yeah, for 2 you'll have to come here, but you can study in India, because coming here while working and studying for AMC2 is not easy.
Right.
And you have all these. I've not done those coaching, online coaching and all that, but there are a lot of resources, so people do that. And so if people ask me, right, I always advise that please give AMC 1 and come.
Yeah.
You gotta come.
Please give it.
Is it equivalent to PLAB?
Yeah. Okay. So if you've done PLAB, then you don't need to do
AMC 1.
Oh. Yeah, you don't need to do AMC 1.
Equivalent degrees across continents. Okay.
Yes, that's
right. All these things, they are very specific to Australia, or Australia and New Zealand, they kind of have similar things.
New Zealand is slightly more tricky. I'm not entirely sure about New Zealand.
But it's not like that if you have done everything for Australia, then by default New Zealand will accept you. No, they have their own set of exams.
They have their own thing, and their exams are also different. It's called NZREX or something, NZREX, something like that. Their exams are slightly more different. Their vocational pathway is also different. So we call it SIMGs. They call it some vocational.
Yeah, I mean, there is no overlap. That is because a lot of people have this confusion because they are in the similar part of the world. They think कि एक जगह का कर लो तो दूसरी जगह मिल जाएगा, something like that.
So it's different. So and also, very frankly, Australia being larger, just because of the sheer size, it's easier to get into Australia than New Zealand.
More opportunities.
This I'm talking as Indian residents, right? If, like, say tomorrow, Gaurav is going to finish his ST7, he'll turn consultant, he'll get his CCT. If he wants to move from UK to Australia or New Zealand, it'll be easy.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's finishing his entire training there. Then he'll be considered equal to a normal British training.
So if I have to summarize, then basically if you are somebody from India and going from India, then of course you will need a longer period of time. But if you are somebody who has done something in Europe or US, then by default your value increases, and they consider it as a standard thing, so they'll accept faster.
Yeah.
A very common question that comes to a lot of students is that in this entire process, how much approximately will they have to spend, and do they get jobs there where they can sustain themselves for this period of time, even if it is like, a single person who is just working there and trying to study and make their way through this AMC 1, 2, or applying for a higher training. So then approximately how much do they need to have? Just a ballpark figure.
Yeah, so like things have changed from the time that I was there, right? So what I am told recently, it's at least like 3-4 lakhs for just the application and everything, right?
Okay.
And flight tickets, then initial stay and everything.
Yes.
The good thing about Australia is that your pay and remuneration is really good, right? Here, a registrar earns really good amount, like
Yeah, I think that is an established. All the people who are coming and watching this video, I think this is the only reason they have coming here, because they know the pay is better
exactly.
there.
Pay is
So
much better.
that is something that they know, but they'll have to initially put something. That is what
Yes,
the concerns me.
absolutely. So you need to have that, like Gaurav will know, like my husband, what he did was he went to like a private sector, worked for like 3-4 months, saved that money, used that money, he moved to
Yeah, so
Australia.
5-7 lakh or maybe around 10 lakh rupees that you need to at least do the entire process initially when you're right. So I have now 2 more people with me, and I'll like to introduce everyone to Dr. Gaurav Patil. He is FRCA, he is MBBS, DNB, and then FRCA, and he is currently in London, and he is a consultant on the verge of becoming a consultant in UK. And I have Dr. Atul, who is a very dear friend. And we all 3 of us have done the DNB together. So we know each other from post-graduation days. And he has also done his FRCA 1 and 2. And then after working for, I think around 4 years, Atul, hai na?
5 years. I was in the UK for
5 years, yes. Now he has come back and he is a consultant in Fortis, right? No.
Nanavati.
Yes, Nanavati. So I welcome Dr. Gaurav, Dr. Atul.
Thank you so much.
Gaurav, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anshul. Thanks for a very kind introduction.
Yeah, this is the kinder introduction. As
I know, I understand.
but
I understand.
So tell us about, because you both have gone together and you were there for the same period of time, and Atul has just come back. So there is a common part to your journey that you both should talk about, and then the diversification. I'll ask specifically that you chose to stay back and he chose to come back. So just tell us how you went about it.
So I'll let Atul speak and then I'll carry on. So I think I and Atul were together and we moved to the UK together, although at different places. But I'll let Atul tell his story first and then I can.
So thank you so much, Gaurav, again for and Anshul. And as Gaurav said, our timelines were quite similar, but he has decided to stay back while I have decided to come back here. So I'll briefly split into 4 parts, like how and why I decided to go to the UK, how was my experience in the UK, why I decided to come back, and how I'm finding it now when I'm back in India. So I went to the UK in October 2018. And the main reason to go was to explore a new healthcare system and to find out about how protocols work in a different environment. And of course, the FRCA title was very attractive. So I always wanted to do that. And while working in Hinduja, we had quite a few consultants who had done their FRCA and had come back to India. So they were always quite encouraging, and they were pushing us to go to the UK to explore new avenues. So that always encouraged me to go to the UK. Regarding the application process, so as Shweta mentioned, it isn't an easy way. There is a lot of paperwork involved. There are a few exams like IELTS or PLAB, whichever route you choose to go through. So if you want to go through the MTI route, which is a medical training initiative route, then you have to do the English exams, which is the IELTS. I think nowadays they have started accepting OET as well, which a few people think that is slightly a simpler version of IELTS, although I don't have much experience about OET.
It's my wife has done that. It's definitely easier. It's double the money, but it's easier and more practical. You don't have to write long essays and stuff. So it's an easier way.
That makes more sense than to do OET if anyone is willing to go via that route. So once you do your English exams, then I think you need to apply for various MTI posts So these posts are usually advertised via NHS Jobs website, or I think even on BMJ Jobs and tracks.jobs website, or you can go through your known consultants. So we had Dr. Anjali Madam who had recommended a few consultants in the UK. So I contacted them and applied for jobs, and at the same time kept applying on my own as well. The interviews usually happen over Zoom or basically online. You don't need to go there physically. And if they're happy, then they will send you an offer letter. The whole process will take at least 6 to 8 months. And in the meanwhile, you have to get your GMC registration done. I think you also have to get your primary medical qualification verified. So that happens via something known as ECFMG EPIC. So all these things take a lot of time and effort and patience. And I think it will cost you a fair bit of money as well. I think at least 3 to 4 lakhs.
Also the fact that you need to be bond free to apply for GMC registration.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so if
yeah. You
anybody
need to be
is
bond
working
free.
in states where they have a bond, either they have to pay the bond or they have to finish the bond.
So yeah, that is what I personally did. I had paid off my bond, and then I got the bond release certificate. And then only I could apply for all these certifications. So after finishing the paperwork, I went over there and I ended up in a district general hospital. So there are usually two kinds of hospitals over there in England. One is a district general hospital, which are not big university hospitals, but they do have a lot of other specialties, most of the common general specialties, and they might have one-off super specialty over there. So I was working in Ipswich Hospital, which is in east of England, which was a big DGH. And I worked there for 2 years as an MTI trainee, in which I did a lot of intensive care as well. So I hated working in the ICU, but it gave me a lot of experience. It helped me with my medicine part of things, which definitely helps us a lot while managing cases in the theaters. So however hateful I felt going to the unit, it did help me in the long run. Then I continued over there as a specialty doctor. So once you finish your MTI, technically you need to come back to India. You can't stay over there. But it was special circumstances. It was COVID. So they gave us two options. They either let us continue as an MTI or to move to a different role. So I chose to move to a specialty doctor role, which is kind of a middle grade role. So you're not a trainee, but you're not a consultant. You're somewhere in the middle. So I really enjoyed working as a staff grade over there because it let me do a lot of cases on my own. So I used to run my solo lists and I used to take advice from the consultants whenever needed. That really boosted my confidence. At the same time, the work pattern and the working hours are quite good in the UK as compared to what we do in India. So I used to work about 40 to 48 hours a week. And then the rest of the time you can spend with your family. You can spend a bit of a time updating yourself while attending different conferences. Or if you plan to pursue the FRCA, then it gives you good enough time to attend various courses, mock exams, and then you can manage studying for the exams as well.
To choose the MTI route, then this is one of the advantages that you can work, earn, and study at the same time. So it's kind of whatever initial struggle and money you have to put in just to reach there as an MTI. After that, it's kind of managed that you work, you earn, and then the same time you're studying.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So you won't work more than 48 hours a week. Sometimes you might have to overstay because of the list, but more or less you won't work more than 48 hours a week.
Yeah, I think for Indians, anyway, anything that you do there would be considered as okay, less work only. That part we are pretty okay with. And that is probably one of the prime reasons that students, they really want to go, that there is a work-life balance there, as
It is
opposed
definitely
to
a work-life
where,
balance.
if you have a work-life balance, then they say you're unemployed.
Yeah. Another good thing about the UK is that there is a lot of in-hospital simulation training over there. So on your off days or even on your working days, you can go in the simulation suite and you can get hands-on about various anesthetic emergencies. You can join their trainees on their simulation days, and you can get exposure to all the difficult scenarios which otherwise you won't face and you won't be prepared for. So I like the simulation thing a lot over there. Apart from that, on your off days, you can pursue something which you have an interest into. Like I had a subspecialty interest of chronic pain management. So I did a lot of chronic pain ad hoc sessions on my off days with pain consultants. And you also do get a lot of study leave. I think you get about 10 days of study leave per year. And you also get a study budget in the NHS. So about 600 to 700 pounds a year. So you can use that to attend something useful, some useful conferences or workshops. So I did a chronic pain observership at Entry University Hospital, and I found it really amazing. So you can do all these things in the UK while continuing to work as well. So which I really found very nice.
All the things that you are saying are all academic things, which I'm sure that a lot of students would want to hear. But let me ask you something which is non-academic. So if you're working as an MTI fellow in UK, does it become easier for you to explore Europe?
It does become easy. Yeah.
So the visa process becomes easier, right?
It does become easier. Yeah.
See, this is this is one of the common things that they ask कि सर अगर UK जाएंगे तो क्या वहां से यूरोप घूम सकते हैं, पेरिस ले जा सकते हैं?
बिल्कुल घूम सकते हैं.
Yes, the visa process is the same like in India, but obviously there's more visa centers here in the UK, and it's easier to apply. You just have to pull in an application online and upload all your evidences, and then and go there for a check and submit your passport and get a visa. And then obviously from here you can actually plan a weekend trip to any country in Europe, because any country is 2 to 3 years away.
There are
from India, you have to.
We get a lot of time, and you are saying we get paid a lot. So I think both of these things when combined means that you can explore Europe as well.
And there is an ease of travel as well. I mean, any European city is 2 to 3 hours flight away from London.
So that is one of the pros of being in UK.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
So if you're there with your spouse, you can easily visit 2 or 3 countries in a year.
Even
so
if without them, why only people with spouse? No? Even if somebody is without a spouse, they can travel. There's not a problem. Right. What about you, Gaurav? Apart from, I think this was the common part of the journey, right?
Yes, sort of. I mean, my plan to go to the UK started much earlier, actually, when I was in first or second year of TNB in Hinduja, because quite a few fellows from Hinduja were going to UK, and I was in touch with them. And I was planning to go immediately after finishing my DNB, but obviously life happens, and then I got married, and then I went to the UK, and finally in 2018. So yeah, I went as an MTI. I came to UK as an MTI fellow in December 2018 at Barnet General Hospital, which is a district general hospital in North London. Yeah, so very similar work environment. I would say, obviously, London being a prime location and expensive and in demand, there are certain things that you don't get in London, which you can get outside, like something like relocation expenses or getting all your years of experience considered. So Atul must have got all his years of experience considered, but I only got 3 years of my experience considered and got a 4th year registrar salary, and that too on the old contract. So there's a lot of difference between the way they snowball you into lower salaries, but still that salary is enough to sustain you alone. And even if you're going with your spouse, then it's enough to live a good, decent life, travel, have fun, do your exams, go for courses and stuff. So yeah, I started as an MTI at Barnet. In the first year, obviously you get frustrated with the new system that you've been doing complex cases in India, and then you're coming here and people are teaching you how to put in LMAs and stuff like that. But that happens. That's a part of transition to any other system, because inherently people like to think that they do things differently, and the person who's new doesn't know how to do it. So that's just something that you have to accept when you come here. And a lot of people find it very difficult to accept that and then go back or do certain stuff, and that sort of kills their mood to progress in their career. Yeah, I won't say that didn't happen to me, but it happens. So in the first 6 months, I was sort of treading the system, and then I sort of started to play the system a little bit, because you have to play the system. The system is not going to change for you. You have to change the system. You have to change for the system. I traveled a lot when I came here. I went to Northern Ireland. I went to Scotland. I went to Paris. Came to India for 20 days, and I went to Malta in my first year that I was here. If I would have been in an Indian hospital doing this, people would have asked me to stay at home, not come to work. If you know what I mean. So yeah, I did my primary FRCA in the first year that I was here, and then COVID happened. And then once COVID happened, I had to sort of decide after COVID was over whether to continue as an MTI or apply for training or apply for a Caesar job, because you need to progress in your career. You can't get stuck in one place. Atul's pathway was slightly different because Atul wanted to work as a fellow and then go back. He always wanted to do that. I was in two minds, honestly. I didn't know what to do. But I mean, one thing I would like to say that every time a thought used to come that what am I doing here? What am I doing in the UK? And I should take a step back and think that what am I doing right now? And what will happen if I pack up in 1 year and go back to India? I always used to end up choosing the UK. One, because of work-life balance. I work 48 hours a week as a registrar. People work 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, at least as a consultant in India. My pay is slightly less than a consultant in India, I would say. And that too, I can cover that up by doing one extra shift a month or two extra shifts a month. And that's enough for me. It's a good work-life balance. You get time off, you get study leave, you get time for your family. So yeah, I'm quite liking it actually. So that sort of motivated me to apply for a training job. I didn't get an interview call in the first attempt. Then I was again thinking what to do, whether to go back, whether to apply for another route, that is Caesar. So Caesar stands for Certificate of Eligibility for Specialist Registration, by the way. So which is an entirely different pathway, which is like the specialist pathway that Shweta was talking about in Australia. But that's the UK version of it. And then in the second application, I got an interview. I got a job in London, which is not very easy to get, but it has become slightly easier since 2019 when the resident market labor test was abolished, and so you have equal opportunities to British trainees. So actually, 6 of the trainees from Barnet applied. 4 of them got jobs. One of them was me, and the 2 of them that didn't get jobs were white British people, and they were really good. It's not like they didn't know their stuff. They were really good, really nice boys who should have got jobs. So yeah, system is getting better in the UK. Job opportunities keep varying. You have to, like, nothing comes easy. That's for sure. I wouldn't discourage people to come to the UK because all you need is patience and paperwork and being on it and being motivated to till you get a job.
That is
Because
such
it takes
a
time.
that is like I mean, this is a very, very important point. We have been talking about this since last 40 minutes, and this is a point that I'm going to again stress on. Nothing is easy. Nobody of all three of you has gotten anything easy. You have to study, you have to plan, you have to be in doubt, you have to spend some money, you have to go to another country, make new friends, try to adjust to a newer system, and then only it comes to a point where you are comfortable with the system to even think of either going ahead and coming back to India or going ahead and staying in that country. So yes, that is a very important point, Gaurav, that you made, that nothing is easy. Because usually what happens is when my students talk to me, they come with this notion that sir, India में life बहुत difficult है, तो हम सोच रहे हैं यूके चले जाएं, हम सोच रहे हैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया चले जाएं, क्या हम वहां जाके आराम से करोड़ों रुपए कमा सकते हैं और फिर फरारी में घूम सकते हैं. So that is something that they don't understand, that okay, they might be able to spend on a Ferrari and might be able to earn crores, but it is not going to come easy to them. So that is a very good point, Gaurav. Thank you.
करोड़ों रुपए तो कोई भी नहीं कमा रहा, लेकिन हाँ, life is much more comfortable here, I would say, than in India, according to my perspective. I'm sure Atul will have a different perspective and Atul will have different opinions, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You have to do what is right for yourself, and nobody can tell you that except yourself.
Right. Perfect. Perfect. So now I'll now just quickly just get some pros and cons from all three of you. So we have already discussed everything pro about being in UK or being in Australia. Now, just so that just like he said, it entails a lot of hard work. Just tell me your cons. what you felt is was not up to your expectation, or you would say no, negative as compared to India, apart from the fact that you are away from family and you are in a different country. So technical negativity, negative things that are there, so that anybody who is interested, he or she should know, okay, this is a problem and this is there. So like for an example, I working as an anesthetist in India who has studied in India and stayed in India and doesn't really have a passport also. For me, the biggest problem of being in India is remuneration. And I feel that no matter how hard you work in India, remuneration is not as much as you deserve. It's not that it's very less, because the responsibilities of anesthetists in India are also very low as compared to responsibility of an anesthetist in a developed country like Australia and UK, where you are a lot more of a perioperative physician than we are here in India. We have outsourced our work a lot. For medicine, we send a medicine call. For cardiology, we send a cardiology call. For ICU, we send an intensive care call. If we have been paid to only do anesthesia work, we'll do anesthesia work, we'll come back. So, but I feel remuneration is a con. So just like that, what do you feel, Dr. Shweta, is a problem with Australia?
Anshul, honestly, apart from the fact that we're so far away from family, I don't find anything bad about it. Like,
that is wonderful.
Yeah, respect. I think respect for job is amazing here. Every person, like you, whatever job you do, anything, there's so much of respect. And I think that is what I missed in India. Basically, anesthetists है, जो भी.
Definitely.
Here, there's so much of respect for your job. There's so much of opportunity to grow. Remuneration is good. That's again, like you said, it's understood, but then it is an important thing. Work-life balance. I have bought a house which I could not think of buying in India, honestly. Like I would have been in Mumbai. Buying a house and being comfortable in Mumbai is really hard. Like, I'm middle class. I'm not expensive, not coming from a very rich family. But despite that, me and my husband, from very normal families, we've been able to buy a decent house in a very good suburb, in a capital city, which I don't think I could have done in India. So honestly, cons, I think I'll tell you the biggest con that I feel is just the time required to make it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Something.
That is, and also the fact that you have to be really focused. And you would think that as doctors, anesthetists, we're very focused people, but not all of us are.
Yes.
I've known a lot of people who were like, nahi yaar, humse nahi hoga, like, forget about it. But if you really want to do it,
I'm one of those people.
Many, a lot of my friends as well. Yeah. If you really want to do it, no, it is possible. And I think that if you take that one big con, if you want to say it, out, then it's all good, yeah. I mean, I feel it's really good. There's a reason why, we were initially thinking, should we go back to India or something? Then me, Ajay being ICU, me anesthesia, we were like, yeah, pitenge wahan par jaake.
So the two very important requirements is courage and patience. Just like how Gaurav said, patience तो लगेगा, 4-5 साल देने पड़ेंगे. गौरव, तुझे तो सभी अच्छा लगता है वहाँ पे, तभी तो तू रुक गया. तो
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. It's not that way. Like you said, you need courage, you need patience, you need the initial amount of money. You need proper guidance and proper motivation. If you don't have the motivation, आधे अधूरे दिल से बोल रहे हो, हाँ यूके जाके देखते हैं क्या करना है, तो फिर मतलब अगर पूरा दिल नहीं है उसमें तो मत आओ, क्योंकि तुम्हारा दिल नहीं लगेगा यहाँ पे. It's not a rosy picture that I want to paint, because it is not rosy. People paint a very rosy picture about first world countries. It is not at all rosy. These countries have their own problems. I would say UK is nice. UK was nice 10-15 years ago. It's worsened. Cost of living crisis is there everywhere. More so in the UK, more so in London. London is one of the most expensive. It's probably one of the most expensive cities to live in. I've managed to buy a flat here. I wouldn't say I bought a house, but I managed to buy a flat here, which I wouldn't have been able to do in Mumbai when I was there. I would say if people are coming here, it's important to have two experiences. One is a tertiary care ICU experience. I did work in Hinduja ICU and Tata ICU when I was there, so that helps. And the other thing is obstetrics is there in every hospital here, so you need some experience with obstetrics. They have a very good protocols for. They have very good protocols for labor epidurals and labor anesthesia. So if you haven't done, try doing a few. It's not. You can always learn on the job. That's not a problem. But those two things you need. As far as cons of coming to the UK are concerned, I've just had kids. No domestic help is a big con.
Yeah.
You said, Anshul, that your problem is remuneration. Remuneration is a problem in every country except the US, I think, because the American doctors are paid way better as compared to how the economy is going. So no matter the economic crisis, doctors are able to sustain well in America. Not so the case in other countries. I'm sure Australia must be better. I don't know about Australia, so Shweta would be a better person to tell you about how economy and salaries work in Australia. But I'm sure it is better. People from the UK are moving to countries like Australia, Canada, US, and
Yeah,
New
I mean,
Zealand.
I'm surprised to hear the fact that people in UK say that work-life balance is better in Australia.
Right.
So me
Yeah.
as a anesthetist in India, I'm thinking, okay. So even people in
Yeah.
UK, they think that there can be a better work-life balance.
Yeah. So, but then the problem that has happened is competition to get into these countries has increased.
Yeah.
So if I complete my CCT and I apply for a job in Australia, whereas you completing your Indian training, having this experience, and you applying for a job in Australia, they would obviously prefer me. So
Yes.
you see the way the competition has increased.
That's right.
Again, a lot of people in India, a lot of doctors in India think of going to the Middle East. So there is a concept called modern slavery, if you know, and modern slavery applies to moving to any country. Any country will treat you. They will treat you respectfully, really well, but there is a very, very subtle undertone of modern slavery. कि तुम यहाँ आए हो तो तुम काम करोगे.
Thorough,
But
yes.
I mean,
But I think, yeah, that is okay.
that's there
काम तो कहीं भी
everywhere. I
करना
mean,
ही है.
इंडिया में कौन से तुम मालिक
हाँ
थे?
भाई, काम तो हर जगह
इंडिया
करना है.
इंडिया में तो तुमको एक्सप्लॉइट भी कर रहे हैं. तुम्हारे वर्किंग आवर्स पे लिमिट तो नहीं है.
हाँ नहीं,
So you
इंडिया के
have to
कॉन्स पे
work.
डिस्कस नहीं करते अपन अपन ऑस्ट्रेलिया और यूके के
ऑस्ट्रेलिया
प्रोस
के
कॉन्स पे
कौन पे
करते हैं.
डिस्कस
इंडिया
करेंगे.
के कॉन्स पे क्या है,
ठीक है,
ये
चलेगा.
जूम कॉल छोटा पड़ जाएगा. तो
हाँ, ठीक है,
we'll
चलेगा.
probably no,
नहीं,
I actually will make a
no,
video
that's
on
true.
that as well. We'll
No,
keep a
that's
video
true.
on.
That's true. But yeah, I think no domestic help, cost of living crisis,
So all the
expenses.
manpower related stuff, if
Yeah,
I have to generalize, all the manpower related stuff in these countries is going to be little difficult because
yeah.
of course
If you have
things have
if
to
you
be
have a
done yourself.
family, yeah, if you have a family with kids, think twice before moving to any foreign country. Think about what will happen to your kids. Think about who will manage them. Childcare is expensive. Schooling is expensive. So planning to put kids through a
Right.
private school.
Now
Uh,
we will come. I'm just interrupting you. Now we'll come to the guy who has seen everything. He
and
is
he decided to come back, and he
yeah.
will
So
tell you
because
everything about it.
he is somebody who can comment about everything. So he has
Yeah, that's
seen
true.
the pros and cons of UK, pros and cons of India, and again coming back to India. तो अतुल तेरा perspective बता कि what you felt good there, what you are feeling right now.
So pros तो पहले डिस्कस हो चुके हैं, तो आई थिंक
Yes.
गुड वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस, डिसेंट सैलरी, एंड सो ये सब प्रोस तो है. कॉन्स में, as Shweta said, being away from family, so you occasionally do feel isolated. You miss your family functions and gatherings, and if वहाँ पे भी कैसे Indians are scattered, so your friends or distant relatives might not be in the same place. तो नहीं मिलना होता. तो मैं और गौरव, we were over there for 5 years simultaneously. We hardly met only once, I think, because everyone
Yeah.
has their own working pattern. तो नहीं होता मिलना. So social isolation एक है. फिर as Gaurav said, kids होने के बाद I also have got twins. So house help, domestic help is very difficult. Like we used to hire a cleaning guy once a week, and I used to pay him about 4,000 rupees for just 1 hour of cleaning a week. So that is how expensive things are over there. तो
मतलब मैं क्लीनिंग का जॉब अप्लाई कर लूं तो बेटर रहेगा वो.
कर ले जरूरत है तेरे को.
आई फील एनेस्थीसिया वगैरह एफआरसी ये बहुत मेहनत है. आई शुड बेटर कम एंड अप्लाई फॉर अ क्लीनर जॉब देयर. ये तो 4,000 रुपए 1 घंटे का तो आई डोंट गेट हियर.
1 घंटे का हफ्ते में एक बार.
हाँ नहीं
तो
वो
अंशुल
तेरे लिए हफ्ते
प्लम्बर
में
या
एक बार, बट
इलेक्ट्रिशियन बन
वो
जाओ.
4 घंटे कर रहा है ना एवरीडे.
नहीं, प्लम्बर इलेक्ट्रिशियन बन जाओ और कमाएगा, फरारी में घूमेगा, प्लम्बर इलेक्ट्रिशियन बनेगा तो।
नहीं
तो
तो
ये
दिस
जो
इज
चीजें
ऑल्सो
इंडिया में
समथिंग विल कम टू।
इजीली हो जाती है ना, ये वहां पे इसका वैल्यू समझता है अपने को कि वहां पे ये सब इतना इजीली नहीं मिलता. ऑल्सो अगेन दोज 3 or 4 months फ्रॉम नवंबर डिसम्बर अप टू February are not very easy for everyone. So it is very dark, it
That
is
is
very cold,
yes.
so it is very depressing. एंड अगेन गौरव राइटली सेड कि वहाँ यहाँ से सबको लगता है कि वहाँ पे सैलरी बहुत अच्छी है, बट ऐसा नहीं है. वहाँ पे टैक्सेस भी बहुत ज्यादा है. And if you are the only person earning in the family, it becomes difficult. Like when my wife started working, it really got a bit easier for us to manage. Otherwise, एक की सैलरी में थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट होता है. Again, I would like
तो
to say कि
मतलब
लंदन
इनकम ज्यादा है तो खर्चे भी ज्यादा हैं.
तो खर्चे भी ज्यादा है. एंड एक और चीज मैंने नोटिस की थी कि लंदन में पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट इज मच बेटर, लेकिन जो बाहर के छोटे मोटे टाउन्स हैं, लाइक मेरा छोटा टाउन था, वहाँ पे पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट इज नॉट वेरी गुड. तो
Yeah, you
इवनिंग
need to
टाइम
know driving. You need to sort out your driving license over here.
हाँ,
Yeah.
तो यू नीड अ ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस, बट ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस भी बहुत डिफिकल्ट है मिलना. 2-3 बार
डिफिकल्ट
ड्राइविंग
नहीं कर
टेस्ट
सकते हैं, मैं 2 बार फेल होके एक बार तीसरी बार पास हुआ
So
हूँ.
just like what Gaurav said, you have first world problems there,
या
and yeah, so यहाँ पे
अगेन
third world problems है, वहाँ first world problems हैं कि
my decision to come back was motivated mostly by family reasons. Kids hai, so I wanted to come back, grow them, raise them in India, and get some help from grandparents. Also, I didn't want to get into training because training is also very difficult. When I went over there, the ratio was 1:1.5. एक पोस्ट के लिए 1.5 लोग अप्लाई करते थे. Now the ratio is I think 1:6.
okay, so it has become very
So it is
difficult.
very
It's become
difficult to
very
get a
difficult.
training post, and even if you get one, every 1 year you have to keep on rotating to different hospitals and keep on moving with your family. Gaurav is in London, so थोड़ा I think उसको मे भी
Easy
इतना
है.
मूव नहीं करना पड़ता होगा फैमिली के साथ. बट
फैमिली के
लाइक
साथ मूव नहीं करना पड़ रहा है, लेकिन हॉस्पिटल हर 6 महीने बदल रहा हूँ मैं.
अच्छा,
हाँ, तो वो भी
ओके ओके, दैट इज अ
इजी
वेरी
नहीं है.
वैलिड पॉइंट कि अगर आप
तो
ट्रेनिंग
ईस्ट
में
ऑफ
हो तो
इंग्लैंड
देन
जहाँ
ओके.
पे मैं काम कर रहा था, दैट इज अ वेरी बिग टीनरी. तो वहां पे एक हॉस्पिटल और दूसरे हॉस्पिटल में 1.5-2 घंटे का ड्राइविंग का डिस्टेंस है. तो यू कांट कम्यूट एवरी डे ऑन कॉल ऑफ कॉल इज. So you have to move there either with your family or you have to go and stay over there alone. So it is not
I was
easy
in
to
the
get a
same.
training over there.
Yes ma'am, you were saying something.
I was in east of England as well. I was in Bedford.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I was
that
in
is-
Ipswich.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
other side.
Yeah.
वापस
It's one of
आके
the biggest regions in the
अतुल वापस आके कैसा लग रहा है, मतलब डू यू फील दैट यू
वापस
हैविंग एन
आके
FRCA made a difference, one in your practice and two in your valuation here when you come back
So
after 5 years?
So I think FRCA is definitely valued. यहाँ पे अभी I got a consultant job easily over here. मतलब similar batchmates है जिनको अभी नहीं मिले हैं, यहाँ पे काम कर रहे हैं वो. So not about. So it does help you jump the queue. Secondly, वहाँ के experience और protocols के basis पे you can definitely manage cases slightly better over here now. You meet your family. So like अभी मैं यहाँ बैठा हूँ, सैटरडे को काम कर रहा हूँ हॉस्पिटल में, मेरी मदर इन लॉ आई है वहाँ पे हेल्प करने को मेरी वाइफ को. तो ये सब प्रैक्टिकल चीजें हैं जो डेफिनेटली हेल्प करती है. एंड
मेरे भी ससुर जी आए रहे हेल्प करने को.
हाँ ज्यादा ज्यादा पैसा लगता है रे भाई, अंदर
हाँ,
से
तो तूने
आने
फ्लाइट
में
से
थोड़ा कम पैसा
बुलाया
लगता
उनको,
है.
मेरे साथ रिक्शा चाहिए. एंड
Just like you
बट
said, earn
डेफिनेटली
more, spend more. तो you would spend a fortune to get them here. but इसको ज्यादा नहीं है, एक ऊपर करना है.
बट यहाँ पे अगेन आई एम नाउ इनटू दैट मंडे टू सैटरडे वाला थिंग. आई हैव टू वर्क
Yes.
10 to 12 hours every day, work on a Saturday as well. Every
Hmm.
fourth day I am on call. So I
I
spend
can't
less
work
time
on a
with my
Saturday.
wife and with my kids. So again I am back to those old days. Not very happy.
So I think it is
Yeah,
safe to say, I mean, I like to conclude because we have been talking for a long time, and I know most of our students, they kind of, because we can keep talking, we are friends, but for them it's like there is no rosy picture of any place, whether you are in India or you are in UK. But yes, as pointed out by Shweta ma'am, Australia is pretty decent. All you need is a long horizon of time, so you need more patience than other people. And yes, family thing will always be there, but I'm sure people who are wanting to move to another country, they consider this family thing beforehand only. They know that they are going to be away and they're pretty okay with that, and that is why they make that decision. I'll like to summarize, and please, if I say something wrong or you want to add, then please do add it. So if I have to summarize this entire process of people applying to UK and Australia is one, you need to be aware of what you're wanting to do, why you are wanting to do, and where you are wanting to do. Second is to always first look into the process and then apply, rather than first applying, spending some money, and then realizing, okay, this was not meant for me. Third, and a very important thing both for UK and Australia, is ICU training or an inclination towards ICU. Both of them insist a lot on ICU. So if you have an ICU background, you like ICU and you want to further work in ICU, it becomes easier. And you spend a fair bit of time there also in your training in ICU. So intensive care is a very important part of being an anesthetist in UK and Australia. And of course, you need to figure out that what is the time period that you're talking about. And it usually varies from 3 to 7 years. That is my understanding. But all this while, the good thing is that you are getting paid. So it's not like you're hand to mouth, and just like how we treat residents in India, where in residency we get peanuts for the amount of work. And despite of you being a resident there, a trainee, you still get a very good work-life balance. Yes, you have the option of both continuing to work there. That is also doable. And people are doing it well. They are happy and they are managing well and they are learning also well. And you also have the option of coming back. And again, after coming back also, you will be happy. Your value will increase as compared to your contemporaries who have not done these degrees. And you can adjust very well. It's not like you come back to India and then you say, hungry India, poor India, aisa nahi. So you come back and then you absorb in this system. If you can work there, then you can very well come back and work here. So this is my brief understanding of this entire journey. And if you guys want to add something, then please go ahead. Please, ma'am.
Yeah, Anshul, with regards to the ICU, right? The ICU experience is good, but only ICU is not good enough for anesthesia in Australia. They do appreciate higher, say cardiac anesthesia degree and stuff like that over ICU. But having said that, if you have done ICU, you become a better anesthetist. Everybody has gone through some ICU out here. You can actually...
ICU.
Sorry?
I would say ICU experience is necessary to work in these countries, because you will do some ICU here and then having no clue about ICU is not helpful. Rather than if you are doing ICU and तो तुमको easily job मिल जाएगा, ऐसी बात नहीं है. But ICU experience will make your life easier and to help you adjust to the system better than someone who has not done ICU at all.
And another thing I must add is that something very simple as, not simple, something as major as general medicine, right? Now, ANSCA fellowship exam has got a general medicine viva, right? Medicine viva. So you have to be really strong with your basics. Because sometimes what happens is once we get into anesthetics, we forget about we don't really focus. We just look at the anesthetic implications of so-and-so thing. There's a separate viva just on the medicine part. So you need to be good at all that. So you have to be willing to put in that hard work and learning and relearning after finishing your training.
Also, what I would like to add here is people who are interested in pursuing intensive care as a career and are anesthetists in India. After coming to the UK, you will, if you're trying to pursue intensive care as a career pathway and do a specialist registration pathway or a training pathway in intensive care, you have to work in one A&E, that is accident and emergency or casualty as we call it in India, for a year at least. And I think you have to work in medicine as a SHO for a year, which most people and most anesthetists in India would not have unless they've worked as a house officer or something and they can show it, which is very difficult. So basically, if someone's interested in an intensive care career, they be prepared to work in these two departments first or during the training program. Because I liked ICU in India. I liked ICU after coming here as well, because ICU is quite closed here, unlike open ICUs in India. But to pursue ICM as an intensive care, I can still do the exam, intensive care medicine exam. That's not a problem. I can do an intensive care medicine exam and have the exam with me. But to be trained as an ICU consultant and to go through training, I will need to work as a SHO, that is not a registrar, as an SHO in A&E for 6 months to a year, and an SHO in medicine for a year to complete their requirements, which I'm absolutely not ready to do at my age. So that is something to consider early on in their career after coming here, if you're considering intensive care as a career.
Right. Sorry, my power just went out. See, one of the third world problems.
Part of the problems.
We are showing our students practically कि यहाँ इंडिया में क्या क्या problem होता है.
You're looking very handsome.
So anyway, thank you
नहीं दिख रहा है
guys so
इसलिए
much. You
you.
gave a lot of your time on a Saturday evening, which for Atul and me it's fine. We are used to it. But for rest of the two, it's a very precious time that you have given to my students, and they are very, very thankful to you. I'm telling that on their behalf. They love to watch this video, and they will definitely give you feedbacks. And if at all they need any help, they can always contact me, and I can put you guys in touch through emails so that you guys can reply them on your whenever it is convenient. Just a second. Yeah, I have a backup light. I forgot. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So
Yeah.
not that bad. It came back in 2 minutes. So yeah, thank you so much, Atul. Thank you so much, Gaurav. Thank you so much, Shweta ma'am. And it would be a wonderful video when it comes, and I'll send you all the link. And yeah, thank you so much, and have a nice evening.
Thank you so much, Anshul, for inviting us.
Thanks, Anshul, for this opportunity, and I wish everyone all the best at whatever you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you all.
Bye.
Bye.